Peace and hi everyone. And this is titled Rapture Preparation Symptoms. Today is March 15th, 2026, linear year. And it's important to mention this. Some of you have already experienced it over the years, but there will be more now as we get closer to the rapture. So let's say over the years there's been tests upon certain ones, very limited, but certain ones with the rapture effect, if you will. And what I will begin just to give a little bit of what occurred with I when I was still human and before I became Divine Rick. I was disguised from myself, but before I became Divine Rick and brought my divine essence down into this reality, what occurred first was I was laying in bed one night. I just went to lay down, and as I laid in bed on my back, all of a sudden, whoom, I felt myself plunge. I grabbed on the side of the bed. I thought it was an earthquake because I had poof descended very quick. The physical vessel did not move. The bed did not move, but the full sensation that everything dropped about 2 feet, almost a meter, just poof, like that. So at that time, I was bewildered. I was only human and didn't know much then, if you will. So I said, wow, must have been an earthquake. But I looked around the room and nothing had fallen, nothing was shaken. And I even went online to check to see if it was an earthquake. And in that area where I lived, Nova Scotia, rural Nova Scotia, there was never any earthquakes to my knowledge that were there. And of course, nothing showed online that we had an earthquake. So with the human logic, well, I said that was odd. It must be just some kind of a nervous reaction or what have you. I didn't put much more into it other than knowing the experience was very real. So after that, and not too long after that, I cannot give you a time period, but I would say, a few or several months later, what had occurred. It occurred twice, but the second time was more pronounced. So I was sitting at our kitchen table. I was actually playing a game of radio bingo, if you will. And so I was there playing, and all of a sudden, without any warning, whew, my whole body, my eyesight, and my whole spirit had gone up, a rapture, instantly. But what I did is I didn't know what was occurring, so my adrenaline reaction grabbed with my hands both sides of the table and held on. I didn't know what was occurring. And I had risen up, let's say, about 3 feet or 4, way up above the table, but I could see myself holding on to the table down below. So my spirit was up here seeing the physical body. But this is the rapture effect. And it's so important for ones to know this. If you experienced this in the past, it was a preparation, test runs in the least, for your rapture, which is also your ascension. So with it, so you know that the spirit is the first to rapture, to ascend upward, but also your physical vessel can materialize wherever you go to as well. So there are many things with this that are each in the same. There is also the rapture effect, which occurs when you are in different realities, but you don't have that rapture effect. It's just instantly. Once you are primed for the rapture, then instantly you go into the other dimensions, which are very real. And also, when I say other dimensions, I say other realities with Earth. And you can use this as an example or a couple examples. Over the years, I've spoken with others that have gone, that the reality around them had changed. It did come back, but it had changed. And this is also an ascension rapture effect as well, where you're taken into a different reality for different periods of time. Now, what I also need to say, on the day that my divinity came fully in, let's say I was at that time in what you would say an agnostic, not an atheist, not believing in God, but an agnostic human, not sure, but always being objective and not ruling things out. And on that special day, when I got my divinity and I found out that God is very real and that I am real as a divine one and my mission and everything that I'm to do here. One thing I wish to say on that day, before I knew my divinity and before I knew God was real, there were a series of events that had occurred. And earlier that day, I said, all right, God, if you're real, you need to really show me something impossible to convince I. So after the course of 3 or 4 impossible things, I had finally clued in, and God, Father, spoke to me from the sky. You could hear with your ear the audible voice, and we had a discussion. And this was back in the forest in Nova Scotia, where I lived. No phones, no technology. You could not even get phone service, and perhaps 50 kilometers to 50 miles away from any other human in the forest. And I was prospecting, if you will, then, and I was an avid woodsman, and I would go long distances into the forest. But to get to the rapture event, but also the displacement in space and time, and all of these things are all each and part of the same. But my comrade, the dog, his name was Bud. On that day, before I spoke to Father, or before Father spoke to me, and both in a conversation, he had vanished. My comrade, the dog. I was out on a ledge on the edge of a stream, and I was prospecting for gold, if you will. And I was out on a very narrow ledge, about 1 foot, 25 centimeters wide. I had to step out onto it and there was a rock face at eye level that I was looking at a quartz veining for some gold. And so I stepped out onto it, and my comrade, the dog, which he was getting up there in years, and his legs were weak. That during going through the forest, I would have to carry him across some streams or some places, and I would have to help him. And if the hill was too steep, we were going up, sometimes I had to carry him a bit because his back legs were so weak. He was good walking on the level, but anything uphill or anything with that he would have to jump across the little stream, he couldn't do it. He couldn't jump, and I would carry him across. So what occurred, getting back, I was out on that narrow ledge, and I was getting ready to go in, and I looked, and my comrade, the dog, he is out right beside me, looking up at me on this narrow ledge. And there's not enough room for the dog to turn around. As you know, he could not do that. The ledge was too narrow. And so I looked at him and I said, Bud, why did you come out here? Because he was an intelligent dog, and he would not do these things. So anyway, I looked at him, and I was going to figure out a way. I would have to probably go in the water to carry him back to shore, is what I was thinking. And the water around the ledge was probably waist deep. But just before I did that, I said, all right, Bud, stay there. I just want to look at one more thing. And when I turned my head, the sun had hit in the quartz veining a piece of gold. So it was right bright yellow, beautiful gold. And I said, just what I'm looking for. So I said, Bud, you wait right there. I said, just give me 1 minute. And I took my pick to break off the piece of quartz that contained the gold, because I was going to get it assayed and sampled and to look at it. But so I just tapped like that, and I got the little piece. And when I turned, I put it in my pocket. And when I turned, my comrade, the dog, is not there. And just in back of us, there was a huge steep bank, almost vertical, perhaps about 8-10 feet high. And how we got to the ledge, we had come across the brook, the stream, and I had to carry him over when we first come there. So there was no way that that he could have went up the bank. Remember, his legs were very bad, so he didn't go up the bank. He didn't go back across the water, because I would have heard him and I would have seen him. So he had just vanished in thin air. And I was, absolutely amazed. I said, what's going on here? and I hollered for him. I yelled. Didn't hear him, didn't see him anywheres. And my line of sight, I could see in places a few hundred meters away, and, some other places not so far, because the bank was right steep, but I knew he would not go up there. So I looked around everywhere. He was gone. He had vanished. And, I said, this is impossible. And I said, perhaps there's a portal or something here, that he went into a different dimension. And so I looked around for, just only a moment or two, and I kept calling his name, but I didn't see him anywhere. So then I stepped out into the stream and looked way downstream and looked upstream, and I just could not explain what happened. And I kept calling for, about 3 minutes was all it was. And then I looked way down the river, and on the riverbank, a few, maybe 200 meters or so, or maybe further, I could see him coming, running on the side of the riverbank with his ears flapping up, his tongue out, him very happy, running back towards me. And so what had occurred is he had had a rapture or an ascension, and I didn't know what was occurring at the time. And when he come back, he was, let's say, all healed. He was very happy. He was just like a puppy, and even his face, his facial features had changed to reflect the youthfulness. But nevertheless, it was also an example of rapture, of ascension. And, again, I need to say this because the rapture ascension is very real. And these experiences I had to have, and confirmed by Father God, which is very real as well, that, these were test runs, if you will, with the ascension and with the rapture, but also for I to have the experience so I know what I am teaching about and what I'm purveying and sharing with others. So, having said this, and more things that occurred that are, you would say, impossible, but it is possible, and it is very real. And that's why with this ascension, this is one of the ways that we can be just taken from this very sick, evil world and just placed instantly into another world. So these are symptoms. If you feel this sudden coof up with your soul, but your body stays intact or what have you, and also with the astral projections of yourself, with remote viewing, these are all examples of your ability to not be just restricted to the physical vessel, but it's also how the rapture and ascension occurs as well. So we're going to the heaven on earth scenario, at least. It's the first stop, to my knowledge, with this. And this heaven on earth, you can be right in your home right now, but this can occur instantly, that you'll still be, let's say, perhaps in your home, but your outside surroundings will change, and there will be less people as well. Because one of the reasons, everything that you think is people here in this reality now, they are not, and they're not all souls as well that can make it with this first ascension, if you will. So it's important for everyone to know, and it is very real. This is not fantastical imagination, is what I'm saying. It is absolutely real, and I'm to share that with you. And it's a part of the preparation. So if and when any of you begin to feel what I described, have no fear whatsoever. Everything is fine. And you don't want to have any fear, because you'll shut it down. You need to surrender and be with it. And When that time comes, the less resistance you have from a human perspective, the quicker and easier that you ascend, that you rapture. So, of course, there are other occurrences and symptoms that individuals may have. This is, more or less distinct symptoms that I'm sharing with you. But I'm also saying all of your experiences, believe them. There is nothing wrong with your your sanity. You're not insane. There's nothing wrong with your mind, if you will. It is very real and it's very distinct. And it's why it's also so important for everyone to do your inner work, your purification, because that is the pure, then it's compatible with where we're going. So you need to be prepared here so you get on the ark, if you will, or the bus to get there quickly. If you're not prepared energetically as well and purified, you cannot go into these other real true places where we're going. And with this, where we are going is the ascension, and you get there through a rapture, whether you experience it like I mentioned in some of the symptoms, or if it's instantaneous and you don't even know it occurred. So in the blink of an eye, you need to know that you can be in another reality. So it's so important to keep with your trust, with your faith in that. Look at your profound experiences that you have had, in your human life, and look at, perhaps another good thing to look at is to look at times when you thought perhaps you should have been dead, but it didn't happen. Those are important times because you need to look at that because there was divine intervention with things that, yes, many times some of you have died and you didn't even know it because you're brought back for the special and important time to assist others, yourself, and to assist others. And we've been all prepared for this ascension, for this rapture, but there's others that are coming with us. That's why we're still here, and we're getting very close. That at this time we've got almost, to my knowledge, everyone that is going forward are prepared on an individual basis around the world with the Christ revivals, if you will. Those are ones turning to Christ because the Christ, Jesus, is the way as well, to be purified in yourself so you're prepared to go. So in these last minutes, in this last hour, if you will, most, to my knowledge, are prepared. And what I put out the other day was what Father said to let ones know we're very close. Whatever very close means, for us, really, we exist throughout all time. So having said that, what could be a month here is only like a grain of sand on a beach to eternity, meaning that it is very close and it happens very quick, but it could happen right now, or it could happen a month or a few months away. But the thing is, I do not think or feel, and by the information that I have, that it will be much longer before this occurs. So the thing is, it is very real. and we're close to that doorway, which is beautiful. So, just looking at to see, oh, Father loves you. See if there's anything else, and keep your trust and keep your faith. And I know these are very challenging and trying times for many, but keep that faith strong. Know that you are ascending, that we are very close to it. And in my life, I put out yesterday, I think, I described more about the bifurcation of the, I'll go this way, the bifurcation of the timelines, the higher timeline, the ascension, and the lower timeline that plays out. There is some uncertainty on exactly how it will go, because within, let's say, the Christian community where the ascension and rapture comes from, those words, if you will, there are a little bit of different beliefs with one, so that affects also how we go forward, meaning that some believe that the rapture occurs before the tribulation, and some others believe that it occurs afterwards. However, the instructions I'm given is that the rapture for those ready occurs just before the 7-year tribulation. Then the 7 years of survival, very severe conditions, attacks on those that begin to turn to God. It becomes a very, just like in a movie, and those ones that they get a second chance to believe in God, the ones that go into the tribulation period, they get a second chance to do everything that's right, to cleanse their souls, if you will, and believe in God. And those ones, to my knowledge, about 7 years, once they complete that cycle of intense suffering, worse than what you've had now. You thought you were suffering now. It's nothing like what is to come. And those ones that can make it through, they rapture later, if you will. So that's basically what I'm given right now. But nevertheless, the rapture ascension is very real, and any of you that experienced it, experienced some of these symptoms, that's what you were experiencing, preparation, test runs, what have you. And also it's important always to make the highest, honest, best choices, as we said. And the purification is so important. It would not have been here, the instructions. I would not have been here over the years teaching and giving the instructions out to assist ones in your doing your own inner work, your purification. What I can give you is that God is very real. We are in the ascension rapture times. It is very real, and I knew this from the beginning, if you will, as soon as my divine essence came down into this physical vessel. Miracles are very real. There is more of I in my divinity that I have not shared publicly. Many of the things that I had shared ones were not ready for it, and with the perspectives, they did not understand what I was saying. It's something like what Jesus said, things that I do now you will not understand, but in time you will see. And, this also holds true with things that I do. What Father God is very real, instructed I to do things in certain ways. Sometimes I had to do things that I really didn't agree with or thought, in the moment was logical, but once you do them and you have that faith and you obey and you trust, then in retrospect, when you look back, you see that God is always right and why things have to be done in certain ways. See, we're also in the time of great judgment where every individual judges theirself by their actions. And with that, unbeknownst to them, for the most part, they don't even know that they're judging themselves through their actions, their deeds, their thoughts, their emotions, and what they do. But again, if everyone knew to the fullest before they began that you had to act good and all of this, they would not go through the necessary calibration and reconciliation of their life as a human to prepare for this time. So things are done in certain ways because they have to be this way, and it's how things work here in this purgatory. And I call purgatory, it's the top level of hell before you rapture and ascend into the heaven on earth scenario in the least. So it's this reality is all set up, as you see, with the darkness, with their militaries and everything that is going on. That is set up for the dark world, the dark control, as most of you know about the Antichrist and what would occur. You might have, read it and didn't believe it, or just looked at it objectively. But what I say to you, it's very real. It's very true. Also, all of the signs that were said through prophecy, what would occur just before the end times and the new beginning. If any of you do some research, you could see that most of these, if not all, have already come to pass. They've been fulfilled. And when you look at all of the negative things being fulfilled and pretty much inexactitude, then you also need to believe in the reality of the great hope of the ascension, the preservation of the good souls that go forward, and the ascension, heaven on earth as well. It has been prophesied and it has been provisioned in there, so that in this great rapture that humanity did not lose hope and did not go astray. So they were showed it would get bad. There would be birthing pains, but then there would come the perseverance by those that believe in God and trust in God and know God, and yeah. So it's all true and it's all real, in with the essentials. Meaning the ascension, the rapture to a new world. There's different perspectives and variations on it, but it is still all the same with the Kali Satya, if you will, Kali Yuga, some native prophecies, Hopi prophecy. It all speaks about the same great turmoil first, and then the rapture, the ascension to the golden age, the new world, if you will. So there's an importance for everyone to be, totally moral, and the this has been divinely provisioned with what you've seen on earth so far, with all of the corruption, all of the actual evil itself, the governments, and of course, all of that. So you needed also to see this, how wrong it was, so that you can establish the morality. It's also why everything about the children had been coming up, all of the sick, sadistic, and sinister things done to the children. And, with all of that, without going into it, you had to see all of this to know exactly what was going on. And it's everything has been revealed beyond enough. There's enough evidence, enough information out there for everyone to know how very real everything was, what was occurring with the children, but also the enslavement of humanity with the capitalistic system and their artificial laws, how many in this time are experiencing extreme hardship, North America losing their homes, great inflation worldwide, and all of these ridiculous things that everyone had to see to know that in the least there's something wrong. This is not right. If humanity was civilized, they would not be this savage. So, but you had to see the truth of the reality so that you choose morality and you choose the world where none of these atrocities and heinous things exist, and also where the evil doesn't. It's important, it's been prescribed for this time that you would see one still going among their daily chores in their reality, and partying, having sex, and drinking alcohol and drugs, and living luxurious lives. You would see all that, and you still see it today with ones, caught up into that. That was also prophesied and mentioned, and Babylon, if you will, falls within an hour. But as Babylon falls, we ascend to the heaven on earth scenario. So before it was, let's say, looking like a transitional steps, but it was very slow. But what I am saying is now it can be just a flash, if you will, and be into it. So the transitional incremental steps and the lessons and the knowledge has been, I'd love to say, more than enough. Everyone has more than enough now to know how important it is to do your final cleanup, any repentance, any confession. You need to clear your soul from any past deeds that might not have been so good, that you need to clear that field. You need to do this because everything is energy, and that is weight on you. So it's better for everyone right now to fully purify so that you go up with the rapture, that you don't stay here for those 7 miserable years and thinking that why didn't you do the right and the good things. So you're given the ability to choose the right and good things, and I suggest for everyone to choose it and keep yourself in the utmost integrity. At the same time, know there are many dark players out there. There are imposters, and also how they use technology, how they can copy your voice, how they can copy your face. And some of you know with AI how very real it is. And I'm saying this because it's important not to believe everything that you hear from another or that you see. When you're speaking with another brother or sister, have a video direct call with them so then you can ascertain that you're actually speaking with one that is genuine, and that you're not getting an imposter version as well. So just some things to assist. Well, I said I was going to keep this short, so I'm doing this on my phone, and I'm reading one. Yeah, tired and sleepy. Maxine says, yes, these have been common in the last week. Periods of sleeping longer, and also instant periods of, let's say, being energetic and then, gotta go and lay down, if you will. All of the symptoms now are culminating, and so you could have at any given time a wide array of symptoms and ascension symptoms. And there are ascension symptoms because with what you're feeling, if you go to an orthodox medicine practitioner or doctor, if you will, they'll find nothing wrong with you, although you're feeling very miserable, and that is because there is nothing medically wrong with you or organically. These are symptoms of your entire physical vessel being upgraded. It was evolving internally, and it's why orthodox medicine doesn't have a clue what is occurring. And if they try to apply their medicine, they cannot actually see anything wrong at all, because this is all new. It is the ascension and the physical vessel evolving internally first. In the new reality, your youth is all restored. You can take on whatever age that you want, and preferably most will perhaps have a 23-year-old body, if you will. Children a little bit different. The children are the children to experience a joyful growth. But the new world is, everything is free. There is no money in the ascension. In the new world, you don't need it. Everything is free, and things work a lot differently with your individual abilities. But I won't go so far into that. But what I can say is that the things you began to learn here is only the tip of the iceberg of your abilities. You know, we'll use the manifestation abilities with ones, how you know it's very real and true and how it works. But that was very limited here. You're just giving enough to tease you to know that it's true. And once you get into the new earth, at least the ascension, you come to discover that things are so beautiful, things are so magical, that there is the entire goodness, the entire light, and it's nothing like this hell world, this purgatory you're in now. And so it's a very excellent experience. I'm allowed to say, yes, we children of God, if you will, we do not die. That's not how it works. The death before humanity was just, let's say, an illusion to an illusion that looks very real, but on the other side of that, when, let's say, when someone would die here, you would think they're dead, but no, that's not what happens. In the other reality, they have a full physical vessel, and the souls live forever. But to keep the human experience, I'll put it that way, intact, there had to be the mystery with the death to end, this world. But in this time with the great rapture and ascension, that's why it was so important to take care of your physical vessels, because you're actually taking these physical vessels forward. And this is also one of the ways that you know your brothers and sisters, because you keep the same, more or less, facial features and identity with the physical vessel and into the new. So, just to keep that simple, everything is real, everyone, and do your final touch-up work with your inner work, your purification. Make any amends with any that you might have done wrong in the past. You need to clean the slate so you're ready to go forward, and that's done on an individual basis with it. And trust God, connect directly with God, and trust and believe in God. A few of you know that God is real. Many believe and many think, but there are few that knows that God is real. But that is fine for those that think and believe God is real and does everything right. That is enough. There are others that, let's say, think and believe that God is real, but they don't do everything right, and those are ones that get left behind, more or less, on that 7-year tribulation timeline, where they had the opportunity to clean up their acts, but it becomes more difficult. That's why everyone was given, with the mercy of Father God, if you will, over more prominently over the course of the last 13, 14 years, as one's awakened. Once you awaken, then you begin to go through your experiences to make the higher choices and clean everything up. So with the mercy of God, everyone has been given the prior opportunity and chances and to make the right choices. And that's why teachers and guides like I have been here to give the divine instructions of what to do. So you were given all of the information, but it depended upon the individual if you chose to listen and follow the information or not. That was the individual choice. But it does not at any second negate the fact that all of these instructions was very important and is very important, regardless if one believed them or not. These teachings and instructions have been put here because one reason, the great mercy of God to give you heads up before this rapture and ascension occurred, because you had to be prepared for it. So many of you have been given examples and experiences that you could not ignore, that you could not refute, very profound, impossible experiences, so that you knew at least this reality was not as it seems, and that you had to change your acts. You had to change your ways. And it was so important to do so. So great. So with that, much love, light, and gratitude, peace, and abundance. And we're close to the new world. I can't give you a time other than Father said we're close. What does close mean? Well, close can be the blink of an eye, or it could be, let's say, several months. But again, I don't think it'll be very long with us. And no matter what occurs with your trust in your faith in God, you can walk through the valley of death and fear no evil, if you will. So all of you have been prepared. It's the trust in God and the belief in God and doing everything right that gets you through everything, including hell. You pass right through it. So just know this and trust it. And miracles are very real, and I guarantee this to all of you. But it's up to each one of you how purified you are to experience it and to go forward. So, love, light, and gratitude, peace, abundance, freedom, and the new world is close at hand. Have an amazing day. Thank you all.